Hey guys, it's Roxie with Roxie's Broadway Breakdown, and today I am breaking down the most difficult roles in musical theater. So if any of these roles ever come up and you have an opportunity to audition for them, I would really think and consider how big these roles are. I mean, not that you shouldn't audition and not that you shouldn't go for it, but really take into consideration how difficult they are, because either they have an enormous vocal range and they're going to be very taxing on you vocally, or they're going to be taxing on you mentally because of their sheer acting ability, or they maybe require a triple threat. You know, it's going to take acting and singing and dancing. I mean, for whatever reason, these roles are just huge. And a lot of these are written for more mature voices. So if you have a very young voice, you know, it might mean you taking more vocal lessons and sort of growing into the role. I mean, I understand if your high school is doing one of these shows and you want one of these roles, but a lot of these shows are just written for an older voice. But, you know, if you want the role, sure, you know, go for it and audition for it. But a lot of these shows, you know, if you're on Broadway doing it and it's meant to be night after night, month after month, you know, 8 shows a week, they could really tax your voice. So, but let me go over the list. I do think these are some of the biggest roles ever written for musical theater. I would have to say the biggest role for a woman is Evita. It's my favorite show. I've said it in so many of my videos. It is my favorite show. But the role of Eva Perón, just the sheer range of it. She's pretty much on stage for the entire show. It's probably, for a mezzo-soprano, the most demanding role. The songs are just beautiful, but the incredible range and strength of your voice to just belt out these songs, incredible. And if you think about a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber's work, most of his shows are incredibly demanding for both men and women. If you think of like Nora Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, or Jesus and Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar, Christine Daae and the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. I mean, all of his shows are sung, but the ranges he gives for these characters, and they're on stage the entire time. These are very demanding roles for people to sing, and they require a lot of vocal strength. So for that reason, his shows, I think, are some of the most difficult roles to take on for people. But I do love his musicals. I think they're pretty fantastic, actually. I would have to say Jean Valjean from Les Mis is an extremely taxing role. Again, you're on stage pretty much the whole time, and a lot of acting ability is required. So I would say Jean Valjean. And Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, you have the duality of the two characters, you know, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and you're going back and forth, and you have that complexity. So I would have to say, and Colm Wilkinson handled both of those roles beautifully. So again, maturity. I would have to say Celie from The Color Purple. The wonderful Cynthia Erivo handled that beautifully and got a Tony. But again, it's one of those roles that is challenging vocally and the acting, and you have to put that seamlessly together. Elphaba. Oh my God. I mean, Idina Menzel, she has that incredible range. But I mean, I know a lot of women have played this role, but again, I think you have to consider the maturity of that voice and what it takes to cover the range of that vocally, night after night or performance after performance, to what that takes vocally. And it's super challenging. I mean, if you just think of The Wizard and I and Defying Gravity, when you're up in the air and you're crazy. Not to mention wearing that green makeup every night. I would think that would, I mean, that sounds silly, but yes, just wearing green makeup every night. Reno Sweeney, triple threat. You gotta sing, you gotta dance, you gotta act. I mean, that's just to show you that character, you need it all. You just need it all. Billy Elliot. Now, this is a young boy that even if you just watch the number, feels like electricity. Another triple threat. You gotta sing, you gotta dance, you gotta act. I mean, this is a boy that is putting all his emotion on the line. He's belting out this song, and this kid has to be so well trained in ballet, acro. I mean, just this fantastic, you know, dance technique. And then he has to have all the other things on top of it. Very special boy that can pull this role off. So, Billy Elliot. In Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, the Disquith family, one man has to play 8 characters. Tell me that doesn't take a talent right there. The new musical, Tina the Musical. You are playing one of the most iconic pop stars ever to grace us. And so if you are trying to tackle the role of Tina Turner, you've got to be able to sound like her, become her, be her. I think that is super challenging. I mean, and she had such incredible vocals. And so to try and become that, and I'm amazed. I mean, yeah, that would be a very difficult, challenging role. Kind of put these 3 roles, not lump them together because they're all extremely, vastly different. But Hedwig, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Hedwig, that's a one-man show. And the vocals are insane for that show. And then you've got also Drew from Rock of Ages. Drew is really trying to sing what, you know, like he sings all these songs that so many different bands from the 80s would sing. He's got to like belt out all these high C's and have this gritty rock voice, but like do it all, like I say, that like dozens of different bands did. So he's got to be kind of like the lead vocalist of like Journey and Poison and Guns N' Roses. I mean, it's insane. And then Evan Hansen from Dear Evan Hansen. I mean, this character is on stage pretty much the entire show, singing out these great songs and a lot of raw emotion. So you have to be, I mean, even though it's a high school kid, you've got to have a mature voice, substantially mature voice to handle that role. I don't think just a high school kid could handle that. I think it takes a substantially mature voice to do that, like Ben Platt. I mean, obviously other young guys have come behind him to tackle that role, but I do think it takes a very substantial voice to handle Evan Hansen. I have to shout out to 2 different casts. The cast from Come From Away. If you're in the cast from Come From Away, you are constantly changing your character. You're just not one character. You're several characters. You're somebody from away from somewhere, different states, and then you're also a character in Newfoundland. So you're constantly changing your dialect and your personality, and you're just, I mean, it's, when I first saw that show, I was like, oh my gosh, they're like just like from one scene to the next, you're a different person. I don't know how they can keep their characters straight. So I was flat out amazed by, if you're tackling Come From Away, you're pretty talented. And then the cast from Hamilton. Oh my God, when I first saw Hamilton, I was just sitting there going, because as a dancer, I looked at that going, one, you've got to be so well versed in every style of dancing. I mean, from ballet to pop to hip hop to jazz to musical theater to, and they're on stage the whole time. And they've got that turnstile stage to deal with. And I mean, they were doing like triple pirouettes while turning on a turnstile stage, and then like moving props in slow motion. And then the girls were like doing beautiful ballet and then straight into hip hop. I was like, oh yeah, they work their butts off. I was like, I've never seen a harder working dance ensemble than Hamilton. I was pretty freaking amazed by them. So you're in the dance ensemble, that's one hard dance ensemble to be in. And then two huge female roles are Fanny Bryce. One, you've got to always live in the shadow of Barbara when that show's done. And yes, a revival is finally coming to Broadway. So they're finally tackling that show on Broadway, and somebody's going to step out and hopefully, you know, not live in the shadow of Barbara, but I think you'll always be in the shadow of Barbara. I'm sorry, I think you just are. And it's just such a huge role vocally, and, you know, I just think it will forever be Barbara Streisand's role. I really do. She's just so big. It's just her. And then Mama Rose. Oh my goodness. This role, I mean, not to mention, it does have huge songs like Some People and Everything's Coming Up Roses and Mama's Turn at the End. But the complexity of this role, you know, you've just got to have that line of, I want to see my girls succeed, but I want to be in the spotlight. It's, you know, it's like pushing, but jealous, but very complex. So many women, famous women, have taken on that role, and each have put their own spin on it. But every time I see that role done, I'm like, that is just one very complex, tricky role to tackle. I think it's one of the best. So there's my list. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what would be on your list, but subscribe to my channel. Check out all my other videos. Give this one a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you in the next.